The illusion of control. You believe you're in control of your life. Every decision you make, every thought you think, every feeling you experience, you assume it all comes from you. But what if that's the biggest illusion you've ever believed? From the moment you were born, your mind began absorbing patterns. Your parents, your environment, your culture, all of it slowly shaping how you see reality. Not consciously, not intentionally, but deeply. By the time you started thinking for yourself, your mind had already been programmed. You didn't choose your fears. You didn't choose your insecurities. You didn't even choose most of your desires. They were installed. Carl Jung believed that what we call the self is only a small fragment of something much deeper, something hidden beneath the surface, a vast psychological structure, operating in silence, guiding your reactions, influencing your decisions, shaping your identity. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of what you think is you is actually not under your control. You're reacting, you're repeating, you're following patterns you didn't create. And the worst part? You don't even notice it, because the system is invisible. And the moment you start questioning it, then is the moment everything begins to feel different. Because if you're not in control, then who is? The shadow within you. Deep inside your mind, there's a part of you that you refuse to see. Carl Jung called it the shadow. It's everything you've rejected, everything you've suppressed, everything you were told was not acceptable. Your anger, your jealousy, your darker impulses, you didn't destroy these parts. You buried them. But buried doesn't mean gone. The shadow doesn't disappear. It waits. And the longer you ignore it, the stronger it becomes. It shows up in ways you don't expect. Sudden emotional reactions, self-sabotage, impulses you can't explain. Moments where you think, why did I do that? That wasn't random. That was your shadow, taking control. Jung believed that until you confront this hidden part of yourself, it will control your life, silently. And you'll call it fate. You'll blame circumstances. You'll blame other people. But the truth is, you're being influenced by something within you that you refuse to face. And here's the disturbing part. The more you deny your shadow, the more power it gains over you. Because what you resist persists, and what you ignore controls you. Your thoughts are not yours. You think your thoughts belong to you, but do they? Think about it. Where does a thought come from? You don't choose your next thought. It just appears, out of nowhere. And yet, you identify with it. You believe it. You act on it. But Jung suggested something unsettling. Your mind is not a single voice. It's a collection of influences, fragments of past experiences, conditioning, archetypes, all competing, all speaking. And the voice you hear the most is not necessarily you. It's just the loudest. Have you ever had a negative thought that didn't make sense? A fear that came out of nowhere? A doubt that stopped you from acting? That wasn't random. That was conditioning. Your brain replaying patterns it learned years ago. And here's where it gets dangerous. If you don't question your thoughts, you become a slave to them, because the mind doesn't care about truth. It cares about survival. And sometimes, survival means keeping you small, keeping you safe, keeping you controlled. So the next time a thought appears in your mind, ask yourself, did I choose this, or did it choose me? The system that controls you. There's a system running in your mind, not something physical, not something you can see, but something incredibly powerful. It's built from repetition. Everything you've experienced, especially in your early life, has been turned into automatic patterns, habits, reactions, beliefs. And once these patterns are formed, they run on autopilot. You don't think about them, you become them. That's why you react the same way in certain situations. That's why you repeat the same mistakes. That's why you feel stuck, even when you try to change. Because you're not fighting your circumstances, you're fighting your programming. And programming doesn't change easily. Jung believed that most people live their entire lives without ever becoming aware of this system. They think they're making choices, but they're just following scripts. Predictable, automatic, controlled. And here's the harsh reality. Until you become aware of these patterns, you don't have control. You only have the illusion of it. Breaking the illusion. So, is there a way out? Or are you doomed to be controlled forever? Jung believed there is a way, but it's not easy. It requires something most people avoid. Awareness, not surface-level awareness, but deep, uncomfortable self-observation. You have to start watching yourself, your reactions, your thoughts, your impulses, without judgment, without denial. Because the moment you become aware of a pattern, it begins to lose its power. That's the first step. Seeing what was invisible, recognizing what was automatic, understanding what was unconscious. This process is called individuation. It's the journey of becoming whole, of integrating your shadow, of separating yourself from the patterns that control you. But here's the truth. Most people never do this. Because it's uncomfortable. It forces you to face parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. But if you don't, those parts will continue to control you. So the question is not, am I in control? The real question is, am I aware of what's controlling me? The truth you can't escape. Here's the truth most people will never accept. You were never fully in control, not in the way you think. Your mind is layered, complex, deep, partially hidden from you. And unless you confront it, you will continue to live on autopilot, reacting instead of choosing, repeating instead of evolving. But awareness changes everything, because once you see the system, you can't unsee it. Once you recognize the patterns, they start to weaken. And slowly, you begin to take back control. Not completely, but consciously, and that's the difference, because true control doesn't mean controlling everything. It means understanding what influences you and choosing how to respond. Carl Jung didn't say you have no control. He said, you don't have control until you become aware. And now that you know this, you have a choice. Ignore it. Or start seeing what's been controlling you all along. You were never meant to notice there's something even more disturbing than not being in control. It's the fact that you were never meant to realize it. Think about it. If people suddenly became aware of their patterns, their conditioning, their unconscious behavior, everything would change. They would question their fears. They would challenge their beliefs. They would stop reacting automatically. And most importantly, they would stop being predictable. But predictability is what keeps everything stable. It's what keeps people in routines, in systems, in roles they never chose consciously, and the mind prefers stability over truth. That's why it resists awareness. That's why it distracts you. Scrolling, overthinking, constant noise, anything to keep you from looking deeper. Because the moment you truly look, you start to see things you can't ignore. Patterns in your behavior, repetitions in your life, decisions that were never really decisions, and once you see it, something shifts. You begin to pause before reacting. You begin to question your thoughts. You begin to notice when something inside you is trying to take control. That's the moment the illusion starts to break, not completely, but enough. Enough for you to realize that most people will never reach this point. They will live their entire lives believing they are in control, following scripts, repeating cycles, never questioning why. But you've seen behind the curtain, and once you see it, but you can't go back. Because now every reaction feels different, every thought feels questionable, every impulse feels like something to examine. And that awareness is both a gift and a burden, because now you know control was never given, it has to be taken.